Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Locker Room Podcast. I'm your host, Kelsey Kyle. And before we do anything else today, we have to just get started right at the beginning with recognizing and celebrating some of our Mountain East Conference individual champions for our men's wrestling team. This past weekend, we had 5 different individual MEC champions. We had Kyvon Grace, last week's Locker Room Podcast guest, Nico Taddy, also Ty McGeary, Mason Christian, and Francesco Borsellino. So we are so excited and so proud of them for their accomplishments last weekend. Today, I am so excited to introduce our guest. We have a junior on the men's track and field team, Mikhi Anderson. He already has broken his own school record multiple times this season. You'll hear from him today as we talk. He's just had a fantastic career so far with running on the track team here, and I'm so excited for you guys to get to hear and learn more about him. All right, welcome to the locker room.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. All right, so normally we start the podcast pretty similar for everybody, and we just go back to the beginning so we can learn a little bit about your background. That is like what led you to be here now. So let's do that. First, just tell me where you're from, and then we'll get into how you got into running and competing in track and field.
Yeah. So I was born in PA, and I lived there until about 6th grade, and then I moved down to West Virginia, and that's kind of where sports all started.
Nice. So whenever you first got into sports, like what were some of the first sports that you played?
Uh, it was 7th grade, kind of a late bloomer.
Yeah.
So I moved in 6th grade. I got my friend Carter. He actually introduced me to sports, like team-wise. And so 7th grade, they all convinced me to come out and play football, and then football turned into basketball, and basketball turned into track. And
Nice.
then when I got to high school, I kind of just backed off to basketball and track only.
Nice. That is actually really crazy because I feel like normally you start like as soon
Yeah.
as you're walking, they're
Yeah.
like putting you in t-ball
Yeah.
or flag football or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I grew up just active. I mean, I have 4 other siblings, so like we'd play whatever outdoor all day. And then the school I went to, we had like a cross country team for the younger kids. So I
mhm.
was a distance runner before I
Oh
became a
wow.
sprinter hurler. So that changed 7th grade when I realized uh, distance sucked. And I can run much shorter distances, so kind of stuck with that.
Yep, I ran track in like middle school and high school. And I always said the warm-up lap is like the longest that I want to run.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about track. So whenever you were in high school, once you realized that you preferred sprinting, what were some of the events that you did in high school?
I've always been a hurler. When I started, everyone said I had good form just because I was flexible. So I stuck with hurdles, and then I started like dabbling in high jump, sprinting. I really wasn't that fast, but I did it. Uh, the 4x1 relay, stuff like that. Every time coach threw me in the 4x4, I had to stick it through.
Yeah, so you're from West Virginia, so do you have like your memories of like competing at Ladley Field at the state track meet, like any of those?
Fondly enough, I've only been one time.
Really?
Yeah. So sophomore, or I feel like freshman, sophomore year, I wasn't tall enough to go over the hurdles efficiently.
Yeah.
So it was more like I was jumping them instead of running them. And then junior year is COVID. And then senior year, I
Oh
pulled
no.
my quad. But I still qualified.
Oh
So I
wow.
went, and I mean, the experience was great. But yeah, I've only been one time.
Wow. That is actually really crazy.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about while you're in high school, when maybe you realized that you could go on and continue your track career in college.
I think I started looking end of sophomore year. I was torn between basketball and track because my friend Carter, he wanted to play basketball, and then I was better at track. So I was kind of up in the air, and I think it was about junior year. During COVID, I think I signed because I remember everything was online. Like I had to scan a PDF, all that.
Yeah.
So I think I committed junior year, and then senior year just kind of voted out to
Yeah.
the end.
So since you were like looking at colleges during COVID, were you able to like come here and visit in
Yeah,
person?
that was the weird part. Everything was online, like
Yeah, like the virtual visits.
yeah, like PowerPoints, like pictures, this, that, and the third. Westlip was like one of the only schools I could actually get out and visit to. Um, had one with like Grove City, stuff like that, but everything got canceled because of COVID. So
Hmm.
like it was really hard pinpointing where I wanted to go because like I've only seen like one in person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think that that is like ultimately why you decided to come here because you were able to like meet some people
Yeah,
and
it
see it in
definitely played a
person?
big role. I came here with the head coach at the time, Coach Simpson, and he knew everybody just walking around. Like it felt like a nice community.
Hmm.
Uh, my mom loved it, so I mean she kind of played a role in that too.
Yeah. So it just seemed like a good fit.
Yeah.
So if you would be like talking to someone that's in high school now that's maybe like looking at some different college options, what's something that you would say to them if they were looking at Westwood as a choice?
Uh, Depends, cause I mean, there's not. What do you want to do here is the question.
Yeah.
Cause like if you want to play sports, then you gotta put your time into sports. Cause there's not a lot to do like on campus.
Yeah.
You have to go off campus to like uh, it's like we're secluded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like coming from a small town, that didn't really bother me. But like if you're like a city person, then you know
Yeah. Like
that
all
might be
preference what you're
yeah
looking for.
that might
That
be a
makes
little
sense.
tougher. But if you want to come to West Liberty, I think the community is great. They offer a lot academically, athletically. They try to get people out, like the activities they do.
Yep.
They get people together, stuff like that. So I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. All right. So now we got to talk a little bit about like your time running in college so far. So, what events now in college are you typically running? And we can even kind of break that down indoor, outdoor, and we can talk about like those differences too.
Okay. So indoor, the big difference in indoor and outdoor is like in my world is 60 hurdles, 60 meters indoor, and then 110 outdoor.
Yeah.
So indoor, there's no weather, there's no wind, like you're just kind of there. But the race is over like quickly. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like if you mess up your start, then you're chasing the whole time. Outdoor, if you mess up, you have so much
More
longer
time to pick
to
it up.
yeah to catch up. And that was my biggest thing freshman sophomore year was I was a better second half runner.
Hmm.
So my indoor season they were good, but they weren't great. And then this year I'm finally starting to like dial in on my start. So I'm able to race a full 60 now.
Yeah.
Whereas like last 2 years I was only racing like the last 20, 30. So that's a big difference from my world. And then as far as the other events, we still have uh, a lot of the same events, but it's on a 300-meter track instead of a 400-meter track.
Hmm.
So the turns are sharp. They catch up with you. You're not ready for it. But the biggest difference is just the atmosphere too.
Yeah.
Like outdoor, it kind of feels spread out because like throws are way over the hill, and then you can like spread out on the football field or whatever. But indoor, everyone's like right there with you, like
Hmm.
teams on top of teams, like everyone's on the corner yelling, stuff like that. So,
Yeah. So, like in your indoor meets so far this season, what have you competed in?
mainly hurdles, just
Hurdles.
every meet hurdles. I do high jump like once a meet because you have to qualify for the conference.
Hmm.
So I usually high jump like once or twice before conference just to get in, and then I'll compete at conference. And then I'm about to do the open 60 just because it's fun. I want to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes most of the times I get thrown in the 200 as conditioning, and I do my best to avoid the 4x4. It's not a fun race.
So what is it? What is that like indoor running a 400 if the
It's
track is
yeah, it's a full
smaller?
lap, and then so like basically, if you start at the start line, you run a full lap and then
An extra.
continue through off the turn.
Oh, I ran like hurdles, sprints in high school in the 400. That is like its
Yeah, I'm not the
own beast. So I cannot imagine whenever you finish the lap and it like in your head you feel like you're done, but then you're actually
yeah, you're
not
not
done.
done.
That seems
No.
very difficult.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So last year your team won the conference championship in the indoor season.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what that was like what those feelings were like, and then how you've used that to prepare for this indoor season.
So going into conference, you can see the like the rankings, I guess you call it,
Yeah.
based off of so top eight score, and so they put it into this system and it shoots out like the top people like in order basically. And we were right behind Charleston going into conference. I think we're right in front of them, one of the two. But we knew we had a chance to win it, right?
Hmm.
So we got there. I didn't high jump last year, but we took 1 through 6, I believe, in high jump.
Wow.
And then we were like, all right, like we gotta lock in, like we can definitely do this. And I think it's split over 2 days. And so like the first day, like after that night, we're in the lead, and we're like, all right, we have to like stay
You
locked
gotta
in.
finish
Yeah,
strong.
because you get all the points on the second day with like
Mhm.
all the sprint finals, hurdle finals, all that. So the second day comes around, and event after event after event, we're just watching the scores update, 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 and we're like, man, we could really win this. Like, I think it came down to the last two events we had secured first, and all we had to do was not false start.
Yeah.
Like we're like, we got this in the bag, just don't false start.
Mhm.
So we can lose to Charleston, no matter, just if we win this, you know what I mean? So before the meet was even over, we're all celebrating, like dapping each other up, stuff like that, cheering everyone on. And it didn't really kick in though until like we got to the announcements and
Mhm.
we got handed the trophy.
And
Like
then
that
like
was,
you
yeah,
realize
that
like what
was
you just
surreal.
did.
Yeah, like everyone, like Charleston, like they win every year. So like the fact that we could come in, because when I came here, we were good, but we were like fourth or fifth.
Like middle of the pack.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like see us jump from like first, fourth or fifth to first was insane.
Yeah, that is so exciting. So then how do you feel like that's helped you and your team going into this indoor season? Because now that like you've like felt what it's like to
Yeah,
win, how much more does that make you want to work so then you can do that again and go back to back this season?
I think we're definitely chasing that feeling again. We have a lot of young people coming, a lot of talent, and they weren't there for it, so we're trying to like, uh, obviously they don't know what it feels like to win a conference trip like that, but they got a lot of talent, and I think we can do it again, but we have
Hmm.
to go in like all business, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, but it's gonna be a battle this year for sure. Charleston's loaded right now, and we can compete with them, but we have to be on our A game that day.
Yeah. So you have what, like about a month maybe
Yeah, we
before
have about,
conference?
I think we have about three more meets and then conference championships.
Okay. So what are the things that like personally you're really trying to focus on in those last few meets just to feel the most prepared possible going into that?
Uh, Really just get my start dialed in. Like
Yeah.
I said, it was the worst part of my race. I'm starting to really dial it back, get it right, and then just make sure I'm in the right mental space.
Hmm.
Uh, make sure I'm taking care of my body. But the way I kind of been looking at it this year is like conference is a stepping stone to nationals. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So like the end goal is to take a trip to Kansas and compete in the national championships, and conference is like it's like one step closer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm preparing. I'm like kind of seeing through conference as like, all right, we got it's just another meet. Like
Hmm.
don't worry
Don't
about it. Don't
overthink
stress
it.
about it. It's just another meet. Like the end goal is over here.
Yeah, I like that. And that's actually something I have in my notes that last year you were really, really close to qualifying for nationals in the outdoor season,
Yeah.
right? Um, so just how has that motivated you to be like, okay, I'm not gonna not make it
Yeah,
next
it
year?
was so outdoor last year was top 20 goes. I ran my PR 14:17 at our outdoor conference, and that put me 22nd. And so I was like, oh, it's right there. And then two weekends later, we had our last chance meet. I think I went 14:22, 14:21, back to back. And then in just those 2 weeks, I got pushed back to like 26, I think,
Hmm.
28th. So I was like, it was right there on my
So
fingertips, and I
close.
let it slip. Yeah. So that whole summer, like you go out, it's raining, just put in the work. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I was locked in from basically as soon as summer started. I'm like, I gotta go to nationals this year.
Yeah.
So like I talked to my friend Art about this. It's just some of those days where you don't want to do the work. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It hurts. The workouts suck. Running running
It's
sucks.
hard.
It's not fun, but it's like something that I like to do and something I want to be good at. So sometimes you're out there by yourself and you just gotta put in the work and do it.
Yeah, and that's something that I feel like I definitely felt and like thought myself when I was an athlete, and then I try to like press upon my team is like, okay, this workout might not be fun.
Yeah.
Like getting up this morning to do this, it might not be fun. Like the way your body feels is probably not fun,
Mm.
but what is fun is winning.
Yeah.
And like what is fun is seeing like your goals like get checked off on the
See
list
the
and like
numbers drop.
accomplishing what you're working for. So I always like say to them, like to my team, like, okay, the fall semester might not be fun. Like doing all of this stuff might not be fun, but like we're gonna have fun whenever we're in season.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like that's like a good mindset
That's definitely the way to go. Fall for us is terrible. I mean,
to
it's like we're all off season. It's school and hard workouts, and school and hard. It's just terrible. It's mentally draining.
Yeah.
But if you can get through that and then get through Christmas break, and then we start going back, and it's just meet, 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 meet.
Hmm.
That's where it's like it all pays off.
Yeah, definitely. So already this indoor season, you've broken some school records, and then have you like set the record and then broke it again
Yeah,
already?
so I set the record. So the way I look at it, because I broke the record my freshman year, so it's just like a PR to me.
Okay.
So like I don't want to sound like cocky or anything, but like I don't try to get caught up on like, oh, I broke a school record anymore. It's like how much
You just
closer
want to be
to,
better.
yeah, like how much better can I get?
Yeah.
What can I do to do that again? You know what I mean?
So how is that mindset? Because I do think that sometimes like you work hard, you break a record, and then you have it. So like once you have it and you are then just breaking your own record, how does that almost like change your mindset to be like, okay, like just because I broke it once doesn't mean it's good enough. Like how do I
Yeah.
keep pushing?
So the first time, obviously, I was chasing the record. It was like I was getting close, 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 and I finally broke it.
And it's finally like your name
Yeah,
there.
exactly. And I'm like, wow, like I did that
Yeah.
finally. You know, I was soaking it in. And then after that, it's like I'm expected to keep breaking it. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
like if I'm not breaking it, then I'm not getting better.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to keep pushing yourself. And then I started comparing myself to like other hurlers in the conference.
Mhm.
And so how can I like what can I do to get as good as you, if not better?
Mhm.
And then last year, because I was freshman year, and
Yeah.
then last year when I had the records, is basically just all like trying to get the nationals, like trying to win conference championships, stuff like that. Just working, not against people, but like I like to compete. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
so, and then this year, like the goal obviously is nationals. So it's not so much am I breaking the record, it's how close to the national times can I
Yeah.
get?
Like, are
Like
you doing what you need to do to be able to end where you want your season
yeah,
to end?
yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that. Um, do you ever feel like I don't know how I want to say this necessarily. Like, do you ever just, or maybe what is it that you feel like whenever you're warming up at a meet that you're like, okay, like I feel like this is a really good day. Does that make sense? Like, do you have those feelings sometimes?
Uh, oh, that's a tough one. I'm not sure if I get a feeling. It's more like,
Or like your mindset, maybe?
yeah, it's more like a mindset. Like, you know, you got like business to take care of. What do I, like basically what's a key point that I want to focus on today?
Yeah.
So like maybe last meet it was like making my first 3 steps linear or like
Hmm.
powerful. Or maybe today it's going over hurdle one clean and then finishing the race clean. I don't try to like think too much about the race because like in the past I've done that and then you get a sloppy race and
Overthink.
it's not
Yeah.
that good. But yeah, I think it's more of a what can I do to get better today that I
Hmm.
didn't do last week type
Yeah.
of mindset.
And I also feel like for anyone that's like watching or listening, that they maybe don't realize that like these races are happening in a matter of like seconds.
Yeah.
So like there's I guess really not time to think. Like the
Yeah.
gun goes off and then like you turn your head, look back, and you're at the finish
Yeah,
line. So
especially
happening
indoor.
super, super quick. Yeah, in indoor. So I
That's
guess that's something to
it's
consider
funny because
too.
like if you think about it, like the amount of work you put in over the summer and then like the off season and then over Christmas break and you come back and you go like 2/10 of a second.
Yeah,
Like to the outside world, it's like oh, it's only 2/10 of a second,
but
but
it's a
like
big
to a
deal.
track athlete, that's major.
Yeah,
Like it's crazy. You train so hard for like a 10% improvement maybe.
yeah, that is crazy. Um, so yeah, so right now like we're in the height of the indoor season, and then how much of like a break or how quickly after indoor will you have to like switch your mindset and be ready for outdoor?
Usually it's about 2 weeks, I think,
Hmm.
maybe three. That's right after spring break. So we'll have indoor championships, I think like third week of February, and then about 2 weeks, and then if everything goes right, nationals will
Yeah.
be that week, and then I think spring break, and then outdoor, which is right there.
So how do you, because you did talk about this a little bit in the beginning, going from like indoor whenever it's like, climate controlled inside, not dealing with the elements, to then running outside in March when we know that like
Yeah,
March is not very
yeah,
warm around here
yeah.
sometimes. So what's that like?
It's all a mindset, really. I mean, outdoor kind of sucks in the fact that you can't control the weather. I
Yeah,
mean, we'll drive 2 hours. It says it's gonna be 60 out, and then you get there and it's like 45 and wet, and
yeah.
nasty. Uh, but you just kind of got to do it.
Hmm.
I mean, it sucks. It really does. Another thing, like in my world at least, when you get down in the blocks and I like look up and I see like through the hurdles.
Hmm.
Indoor, it's like close, and then you get the outdoor and you look
They're
up
more
and it's
spread
like,
out.
wow, that's far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you get to the middle of the race and you're just like going
I mean,
at
you're
it, going at
essentially
it.
doubling
Yeah.
it.
So it just feels like it takes forever to get there.
Yeah.
But then by the end of the season, it's like, oh, it's only 110. Like
Yeah.
it's whatever.
Like as you've grown used to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. All right. Well, is there anything else with track or any other like thoughts for the rest of the indoor season, outdoor season before we kind of switch over?
Uh, what do you mean? Like,
Before we talk about like school.
oh, no, I think we're gonna have a good indoor
Yeah.
season, finish it strong, and then get ready for outdoor.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, going into, some other topics, let's talk a little bit about school. So, what is your major?
Exercise physiology.
Okay, do you have any like ideas yet? And if you don't, it's completely fine, but do you have some like ideas for what you want to do after?
Yeah, I think the goal is physical therapy.
Okay,
I was
nice.
kind of torn between PT and AT, and I went on a internship this past semester, and I think I want to stick with PT now. I liked it a
Nice.
lot.
So you're currently a junior?
Yeah.
Okay, so then are you set to graduate like next year?
If everything goes well, it should be next year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of math classes I didn't realize I had to take to graduate.
Yeah.
So
Just
hopefully it'll
working
be
all
a
that
year.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, all right. So then outside of school and track, which I know take up a huge chunk of your time, but outside of those two things, what can you like, what could we find yourself doing on like an off day or just something else that you like to do other than school and sports?
So for in season, I don't ever play basketball anymore. I stopped doing that. But like over the summer, stuff like that, outside of my training, I like to play basketball with
Yeah.
people. Just go on walks, hang out outside, doing stuff. Uh, bike rides are fun, stuff like that. But I don't really do that around here just because like last year I played basketball and I got injured right before
Oh.
coming back. So like all fall I spent trying to like get that back, and then
Hmm.
indoor I was like behind.
Yeah.
So now it's like I don't play basketball or anything like that
Until season is
until it's
over.
completely over and
Yeah,
I have a
makes sense.
whole summer ahead of me.
Do you have like any other hobbies or anything else that you
Uh,
like to do for fun?
Last year I got a motorcycle.
Oh,
So yeah,
wow.
over the summer I definitely take that out. My brother has one, so we always go on rides and
Fun.
like take a day out, stuff like that.
Yeah, nice. All right, so your episode is the first episode of February, and
Hmm.
February is Black History Month. So, will you just maybe talk for a minute about what that means to you? Um, what you like, I guess, like the pride that you have, and just like any feelings that you have about competing as an athlete, especially in season and in championship season during Black History Month?
Yeah, it's definitely an honor to be able to like do what I do at the level I do that.
Okay, what would you say to maybe like a younger kid that you could look at and maybe like see yourself from the past and maybe they have dreams of being a college athlete? What would you say to them to help motivate them to maybe get to where you are now?
I would say that it's going to be a bumpy road. It's not always up. There's a lot of downs, but you just gotta stick to it. You know what I mean? If you really want to do it and you want to be good at something, then you have to be able to persevere through like all the tough times, any injuries that happen, anything like that. Um, but keep people around you that motivate you too. Like it's not a you versus the world type of deal. It's like your team, your friends, your peers, your teachers. It could be anyone that just motivates you to be a little bit better than you were last week or the day before.
Yeah, love that. All right. Well, now this is one of my favorite parts of every episode, and it's whenever we do fun rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So I'll ask you, and I want you to just try to think of your answer and like say it as quick as you can.
Okay.
So, what is your favorite pre-race snack?
Coach started getting these mini muffins, the chocolate chip one.
Oh.
I ate like 7 packs of those the other day. It's so good.
All right. Do you have a pre-race hype song?
I have a playlist I make. It really depends. So I have like a hip hop rap playlist and I have
Mm-hmm.
like a Christian hip hop rap playlist. So
Oh,
like
I
it
love
depends
that.
on how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah, nice.
Usually the bus ride is one of them, and then like the warm up is the other one, or vice versa.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, after a meet day, when you finally like get home or get wherever you're going, what is your post meet meal?
Post meet meal. When I get home, cereal.
Cereal?
I could really kill a bowl of cereal.
There you go. All right, do you have any like meet day, race day superstitions?
Yes, when I put my spikes on,
Hmm.
I have to put my right one on, then my left one, then tie my right one, then tie my left one.
Okay.
I can't ever do it opposite.
Which I bet I know what you're going to say to this question, but if you weren't running track, what sport would you play?
Basketball.
I figured
Probably,
that's
yeah.
what you would say. And then I probably know the answer to this too, but if you had to pick like your all-time favorite event that you run or that you do in track, what would it
I want to say hurdles, but I feel like that's like too easy.
be?
I started liking the 100 and the 60. 'Cause, like
Okay.
I started realizing that like you have to relax to go faster.
Mhm.
So, like I used to like chop it, be like real tight the whole time, the whole
Mhm.
race. But my girlfriend actually taught me last year that if you like relax and just like let your body move, you go way faster. And so I might have
Nice.
to say like the open 60 maybe.
Oh, okay. I like it. All right. So this is the last question, and this is what we end every single episode with. And so the question is, if you could go back in time to your freshman move-in day, what would you tell yourself then based off of what you know now?
That's a good question. Um, Probably say like just get out, go like meet new people, go like build more connections with people. Just like not even with your track team, but like outside the track team. Like I've never done a toppers war here,
Hmm.
so like maybe I'd go back and do that, just to, like meet people, stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then on the athletic side, uh, I would buy the spikes I have now because they are so good.
So much better.
Yeah, I bought them over break, and it's crazy how different they feel.
I love that. That's funny. All right. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. I loved having you, and I'm just so excited for everyone to get to listen to the episode and learn more about you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. You can find Mikhi and the rest of our men's and women's track and field teams today and tomorrow on the road at Youngstown State University. We also have our wrestling team on the road tomorrow at the John Suma Invitational and again on Thursday at Lake Erie. Our basketball teams are both home tomorrow against Charleston, where if the men's team would win, they would take sole possession of first in the Mountain East Conference. And then both teams are home again on Wednesday against Davis and Elkins. Lastly, the acrobatics and tumbling team is on the road tomorrow, kicking off our season. So I'm super excited for that. As always, just remember to follow us, the Locker Room Podcast, and West Liberty Athletics on Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, just so you don't miss any of our updates or our announcements. And then next week, make sure that you join us on Wednesday, not Friday, on Wednesday, because we are having a fun episode, a special edition celebration for National Girls and Women in Sports Day.